Always Positive Jay. Always Positive Jay just got married, and he is currently in Aruba with his beautiful wife, and he's enjoying his honeymoon. And we're gonna let him have the week off. And Kevin actually has a prior engagement with ESPN 850, so he has to do that. And I decided instead of just canceling a podcast this week, we're just gonna do it. I'm gonna own it. I feel like mom and dad both left the kid home alone for the first time. This is my 5th podcast ever, and I'm hosting one now. So let's just do it. Let's get into it. Today I am accompanied by David Kahoun at David Kahoun 24 on Twitter.
Hey everyone.
Prominent Browns Twitter user, and a lot of people know him. He's a very positive, very good guy. One of my best friends. I've known him for a long time, and I'm happy to have him on for today. So,
well, thanks, man. Yeah, I'm really excited to be here, and thanks for the invite.
Yeah, welcome in. So, yeah, let's get into it. Let's talk about the Browns, Dave.
Oh boy.
So you actually went to the first game.
Yep.
You went to the Cowboys game. I was actually supposed to go with you, but there was a schedule conflict that my wife told me about, where I had to do some photography. Work comes first, so I could not go. So you went. Did you go by yourself? I don't even know. Did you go with anybody?
No, I took my brother-in-law.
Oh,
actually.
Nice.
His name is also Ryan.
Yeah,
so,
cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So how was that? How was your experience?
Yeah, it was really fun, minus the score of the game. I mean, I feel like the Haslam Sports Group, like, they put on a show for week 1.
Okay.
They had a really great pregame where MGK was there. Really cool national anthem with I forget the kid's name that always plays the electric guitar.
Oh yeah, okay, yep.
He did a great job with the national anthem. They had was it the Black Keys, I think, or
okay. I wasn't there. You were.
The White Stripes, one of those two. The Cleveland band, who's pretty popular.
The Black Keys.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes,
yep.
I thought it was them. They put on a show like in between the 3rd and 4th quarter, I thought. But yeah, it was great. The Ohio State marching band was there at halftime, and it was.
Oh yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah, it was a great job. Yeah, you know where my seats are at. So.
Yeah. David has the luxury of having really good seats. He splits them with a family member, and he sits the very first seat in front of Jimmy Haslam in his box. So like if he looks behind his shoulder, it's Jimmy and
JW Johnson.
Yeah, JW Johnson,
Andrew
and
Berry,
Andrew Berry are all right there. So when we go to games together, like Andrew Berry is 2 feet right behind me. He's the guy right behind me. It's kind of cool.
Yeah. So I got a story about that, actually.
Okay.
So first week, the place is packed. Everybody's like been pre-gaming down at the Muni lot and everything, and they're all coming into the game very just hyped up and energized.
Right.
There's this guy like 2 rows in front of me who was just heckling Jimmy Haslam the entire like first quarter and a half, like just berating him,
like turning around yelling at
turning around yelling at him, spitting all over everybody that's behind him.
Wow.
Like, yeah, just belligerent. At one point JW like talks to me and my brother-in-law, and he's like, hey, can you guys like tell him to calm down?
Right.
And so we're like, okay, sure, yeah, billionaire just talked to us, but yeah, sure, we'll talk to him, see if we can get him to calm down. And so he like turns around after a bad play or whatever, is like, Jimmy, what the are you doing? Blah blah blah.
Right.
I'm like, dude, like you've yelled at him all game. Like he gets it. Calm down. Like just move on. Accept like the reality.
Sure.
Like move on. No, I'm not gonna do that. Starts coming after me, and I'm like, okay, man. Like, hey, look, you can do what you want. This is his stadium. This is his game. Like he's putting on everything for you. Sure. Like the show is all his. This is his party. Why are you like yelling at it? And so. After like that whole exchange happens, maybe like 2 plays later, there's this big buff jacked dude.
Me?
No, but a little bit bigger than you. He comes walking up the stairs, taps at the guy on the shoulders, like, "Hey, you." And then he like points to him and looks up at Jimmy's box, and some guy nods his head. He's like, "All right, I need you to come with me."
That's crazy.
Gets escorted out of the game. Evidently, like. Jimmy sent down his security guard down there.
I mean, so if you're being belligerent,
if you're being a jerk.
See, I've been to a game. Was it last year? Actually, you and I went, and the guy kept on pushing me in the back and stuff.
Oh yeah,
and
that was last year.
I did the text to report a problem, and was nothing. We didn't get a response. We didn't get anybody to come, and it was like 2 quarters of this guy just heckling and like putting his hands on me. And I'm pretty a cool guy, but like I'm also trained in some stuff. So no, that's not like I do, sir. No, I whatever. But nonetheless, I'm a big guy. I can handle myself. And it was kind of discerning to see that there was nobody coming. It was really upsetting actually that no one came to help. And I thought that line was useless, but at least that that was handled quickly and swiftly this time. So.
Yeah, and I feel like there's a kind of a battle within myself with that whole thing because it's like, hey, this guy's heckling because he just doesn't like Deshaun or whatever, something like that.
Or we're getting our butts kicked.
Exactly, mixture of both probably. But then it's like, okay, Jimmy should also maybe be like, hey, I don't need to escort this guy out of the game. Like, he can heckle it and I can take it because I'm the bigger guy. But I also understand, like, hey, if he's going to keep doing that, you got to look out for yourself and not get anything thrown at you or anything like that. So I get it, but yeah.
Cool. I do want to remind everybody that this podcast is part of the Be On Air Podcast Network, a part of the LPV network as well. We want to thank not Peter. Peter's gone. Yes, it is Peter. Oh my gosh, Peter's over there. Kevin's gone. We want to thank Peter, as always, as being our producer. He does a wonderful job. He's super awesome, and we always want to thank him. Peter Tulp is an incredible first person. So,
well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Now my head won't fit out the door when I go to leave.
Oops. Normal transition. Let's talk about this week's game.
Okay.
The first quarter I thought was relatively pretty good. I mean, probably the last 5 minutes of the second quarter going into halftime, we started to slip a bit. Watson looked comfortable. Watson looked like better. He looked like a different quarterback. If we just took the first quarter and part of the second quarter into a capsule and looked at that, it might have been the best play he's been as a Cleveland Brown. He made some gutsy throws. The one to Jerry Jeudy on like the 5-yard out where there was 2 defenders on him. Like, I don't know if many quarterbacks can make that throw. I wouldn't have thrown that personally, but it was complete. If the latter would have happened or alternative would have happened, we probably would have been mad about it. The second half looked pretty bad to me. I think that Watson didn't look as great. The drops are terrible. Amari Cooper had 2 drops this game. I think Elijah Moore had 1. Maybe Jeudy had 1 as well. It was not good. And the penalties are an absolute killer. I think there's 13 penalties total, and 4 on the offensive line, which is just a testament to letting Bill Callahan go, which I'm upset about, especially letting him go for nothing. I get the sentiment of him joining his son down in Tennessee, but we let the best offensive line coach go for nothing, and our offensive line is struggling. So I think that the last minute and a half, 2 minutes, that whole shabacle was terrible. I think the time management was garbage. Luckily, Corey Bujorquez had the incredible coffin quarter punt
of a lifetime.
And then obviously Alex Wright with the sack there for the safety was just clutch. Yeah. He's up and coming and he's doing really well.
Yeah, he's definitely grown into his own.
He during the combine he was hurt, so he couldn't really test and stuff like that. So he kind of slipped, but I think we got a really good steal out of him. I think that Watson taking that sack, he took a sack
incomplete.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
No, you're good. He should have taken a sack.
Yeah. He threw that incompletion and the clock stopped. And I think that was just, other games that would have sealed the Browns' fate. You left too much time on the clock. Now they're going to drive in, and here comes, 0-2. We got very lucky. I think that, we did win the game. There were some positives this time. I was not very happy, with the Cowboys game in week 1. But yeah, those are my takes. How about you?
Yeah. I thought it was 2 tails of a half of coaching. Okay. So I thought the first half was a phenomenal job by Kevin Stefanski coaching. Okay. The opening script of the first drive, I thought was flawless. What was it, like 16 plays, marching down the field for 80 yards, scoring a touchdown? But
historically, Stefanski's first scripted drive is always good.
Yes,
always. Yeah, it's the first drive, and then what can you do? And scripts are great, but what can you do when you coach? Sorry,
sure. Yeah. No, I'm with you, and that's why I think the second half was so telling, because I felt like the Jaguars made a lot of changes to their strategy.
Right.
And I don't know if the Browns were able to adapt to that.
Right.
And so I don't know. if that all falls onto like the penalties, which is also another aspect of the coaching, or if that's just more like, hey, we just weren't able to adapt in game to the changes that were happening to both the offense and defense that the Jaguars changed up.
I mean, that's the Jaguars. What are we going to do when we have a really good opponent,
Sure.
Like, oof. Hopefully that's not the case. So,
yeah. But there were some positives.
Sure.
I thought Jerry Jeudy looks like a wide receiver 1.
Yeah.
He's really seems to be flourishing in this offense. Seems to be really thriving with Deshaun. I think if we can just continue to build off of that, there's a lot there that's untapped. So that's really exciting. I think some of your other backup tackles, while they may not be stellar, they're getting the job done. Yeah, Watson still had a lot of heat coming at him this game, but they had a really good pass rush as well. And I thought that it was encouraging to see, I think, Kevin go back to some of the things that were working last year with Joe Flacco and that whole part of the season. Like, he went back to what Kevin knew how to do instead of trying to implement something that maybe may not have worked. He just went back to his bread and butter, and it was good to see, I think. So,
yeah, I agree. This week, I feel like we have a pretty relatively easy opponent in the Giants. I mean, they should be a top 5 pick next year for sure, if not top 3. They do have a stellar rookie in Malik Neighbors, who I just think is such a stud.
Yeah.
And he's somebody to watch, somebody to worry about. I mean, they don't have Danny Dimes, he'll run on you. He's one of the best running quarterbacks in the league, but in terms of his passing, it's nothing stellar. Singletary in the backfield is not terrible with Tyron Tracy, the rookie from Purdue, right behind who are and hopefully this
liability, what have a lot of quick shifty guys, and so I feel like a breakdown in our defense and our secondary is the only thing that I feel like could be our Achilles heel to this game. So I think as long as our defensive line can get pressure, which they should be able to, and our corners and secondary can continue to clamp down and just focus on covering Neighbors, I think that we got this in the bag. So
I agree. I think not to be too confident. Like I said, I'm cautious, but I think it should be a good game, and the scoreboard should reflect that for the Browns.
I wish I was going to the game.
Yeah. I would just want to bring up real quick that we are brought to you by Greeny Sports Cards. Greeny is having a card show this Saturday, September 21st in the Kirtland Senior Center, where everyone knows your name at the Kirtland Senior Center. All their show dates are on their website for greenysportscards.com. You can click the card tab on the top, the card show tab on the top, and you can find all the information there. That is greenysportscards.com.
Speaking of Kirtland, I know that we talked about it before the podcast, but how about that Kirtland Perry high school football game?
Yeah, that was
like 2 weeks ago now.
2 different state champions. What in division was it? 4?
Division 5 and 6.
5 and 6, yeah.
Yep.
Going head to head, and like you said, it was double or triple overtime.
Triple overtime.
Yeah.
In
That's
the
crazy.
pouring rain.
That's crazy.
Yeah, my alma mater failed, but
yeah, he's from Perry. Yeah.
Oh well, what you can do.
But if you want to catch that game, you can check it out on the Chagrin Valley Conference YouTube channel. So just look up Chagrin Valley Conference, and it's a CVC TV. It's a little confusing. There are 2 of them, and the reason being is we had the first one years ago, and I think about 2 years ago in January, YouTube decided to delete a whole slew of high school football or high school sports YouTube channels. There are no copyright strikes.
Right.
He had some claims, because you get music in
Sure.
during halftime or during the breaks. Had a couple claims, but no strikes. All of a sudden, the site's gone.
Wow.
We appealed it. 2 years later, all of a sudden, it was back. The CVC got an email said, "Hey, we agree with your appeal, and your channel's back. All the content's there, but we had already started another channel and have more than twice the subscribers on the new channel. So there's a bunch of really good games because we do cover into the playoffs as far as we can. until we get blocked out by Spectrum.
Right.
We will cover any CVC team that's in the football playoffs.
Yeah, and Peter does a great job with that as well. So.
Yeah.
Really awesome. I think we are going to switch over to Buckeyes. I don't think we talk enough Buckeyes on this show, so I'm a Buckeyes guy and I want to talk some Buckeyes. So, Ohio State played Western Michigan this week and absolutely rolled them. Jeremiah Smith looks like the real deal.
The true freshman too.
True freshman, yeah.
He looks phenomenal.
It's crazy, man. And obviously, you take it with a grain of salt when you look at the level of competition. This week also, there's not too much. We play Marshall. Their head coach is really good, and you best believe he's probably brought in some decent guys recruiting. Guys who should be Power 5 guys, but decided to go to a smaller school and play for a good coach. That being said, Ohio State should roll over this team as well. It's just crazy to me that Jeremiah Smith, as a true freshman, he has 3 touchdowns. He's got several hundred yards. He is an explosion. He catches the ball and he can be gone at any moment. I don't think there are many guys in college football now who can guard this man, and he's a true freshman. He looks like a grown man. Mm-hmm. I think it was Jake Trotter who said that Jackson Smith and Jigbo's talked to him this summer and said that he could be in the NFL next year. He's that talented already, and that was before he even took a snap as a Buckeye. He's my vote already for Heisman. Obviously, I'm biased, but I think that if he's healthy and we continue to feed him as he deserves, he could be a Heisman candidate. He could be a Heisman winner. He could be a multiple Heisman winner. You never know. And I'm just so happy he's on our team. I've been scouting him. I do a lot of scouting because I'm sick. I do fantasy football and I do college fantasy football as well. So I scout high school players just to draft for my college team and then farm to my NFL team. So I've been following him for a long time and I'm so excited.
You literally have been texting me about him for 2 years,
Dude,
I think.
I'm so excited. I've been in our dynasty league for fantasy. I've been stashing picks just to get this guy in 2027. So I'm trying to be ahead of the game for sure. So yeah.
Fun fact about Jeremiah Smith.
Yeah.
Did you know that his cousin is
Gino?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so cool.
Stole my fun fact.
Sorry.
No, you're good. All right. So my question for you about the Buckeyes.
Go ahead.
In order for Jeremiah Smith to win the Heisman, what do you think the Buckeyes at the bare minimum have to do in order to get him that recognition?
Well, first he has to be designated as the number 1 receiver. We still have the best receiving core in all of college football. Emeka Egbuka should be the number 1. We'll see. I think that Jeremiah is an alpha. If he's not going to take it, it's going to be 1A and 1B. But with him, I think that competent quarterback play, I think that scheming him, but also, with Jeremiah, there's still other players on this team. You have Junkins, you have Henderson, you have the best running back duo in college football, 1-2 punch. And then you got James People behind him, who's going to be, I think, one of the best running backs next year as I think it's a sophomore or redshirt sophomore. But with Jeremiah, our quarterback play has to be great. Next year is a little iffy. We're going to have Julian Sayin as, the up-and-coming sophomore who I think right now is the number 2 on our team. I think he's earned that over Devin Brown. But, that's yet to be seen. He did throw a touchdown pass last week, which is awesome to see. And then you got, Tavian St. Clair coming in from Cleveland, who is the number 1 recruit on 24/7 Sports, I think number 2 in Rivals, and he is a unit. He's a stud. So we have great guys coming in, but no one proven. And I don't think that next year will be a year that we go to the transfer portal because we're not going to be desperate. We have young, great prospects. We have young, great players. So it'd be dumb to try to bring someone in to compete with that where with NIL nowadays, a guy could be gone in a drop of a hat. So
yeah, agreed. So what is the floor that they have to get in order to give that recognition to Jeremiah Smith in order to win the Heisman?
Explain. What do you mean by the floor?
What does Ohio State as a team have to achieve in order to get that recognition to him?
Win meaningful games. We haven't beat Michigan in 3-4 years. That regardless of the cheating scandal and other things going on with their program, they suck now. They're so bad, and I love it. I hate Michigan. Sorry, but
you're not sorry.
I'm not sorry.
No,
I hate Michigan.
Nor should you be.
No, but they have to get through Michigan. They can't lose to Missouri in a random bowl game. They have to play the whole year, regardless of injuries, and just be a unit, be one, be an engine that runs with all pistons going. I think that they're going to be they have one of the best offenses on paper. They look like one of the best offenses in the league, or college football, I mean. And the defense is dynamic. So just continue, and I think Jeremiah is going to create his own path, and I think it's going to be great. So
fair. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think at the bare minimum, Ohio State has to win the Big Ten in order to give really anybody on their team any sort of recognition for Heisman candidacy.
Right. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I believe we'll win out. I think that we'll probably play USC in the Big Ten if they continue. USC has been a surprise. They've been really well. Their quarterback looks really good. Their offense is completely different than last year, and their defense is playing really well. Yep. So right on time for a Big Ten school. But I don't see. As long as we don't have that random loss to Purdue or random loss to Iowa or, that we had in the past, I don't see anyone really taking this from us. This team, all these seniors came back for a reason. They came back to win a national championship. They came back to win a pair of gold pants because they were stolen that from Harbaugh and those, booger eating cheaters over there. So I just, they got a chip on their shoulder, man, and they're hungry and they're ready to play, and they're going to do it. And they have some of the best prospects, some of the best transfers. Seth McLaughlin as a center. Yeah. Alabama kicked him out, saying that the snap issues were his fault, but Alabama's still having those issues. And Jalen Milroe, I think it might be a cadence issue, but Seth McLaughlin has looked like maybe our best offensive lineman. Will Howard. What an improvement. He looked good last year. He's been, a player who's, has experience. He's playing in a championship game. He's done well, but they were trying to kick him out for a freshman too. They were ready for a new start. And this man not only, came in here and stole the job, but developed his body. He got bigger and looks like he could be a top, maybe second to third round pick, which before he was projected maybe a fourth to sixth round. So this guy, if he continues the way he goes and he, the weapons he has, he could have a quick Heisman run as well too. So,
yeah. All right. My last question
that
I got for you. Let's say you're Andrew Berry. You achieve of making the playoffs this year as the Browns, but you don't make it very far. You maybe win one game. So you're sitting in that mid 20 range in the draft. Who is one Buckeyes player you would pound the table for Andrew Berry to draft next year
in the first round? Process of elimination, I'd probably go Ibuka, just because we need a receiver. I think that Amari is going to be gone next year, and then we'll see what Jerry Jeudy goes as his career continues and he gets more development under the Browns and more chemistry. We'll see how he does if he's going to be a number one receiver. But I think Ibuka could be a very, very good receiver. But if I could pick, a position I think we deserve or need to draft is we need a left tackle, and we need. I think we could go after a quarterback as well. I don't know if in the first round, but next year there are a ton of quarterbacks. There's a ton of running backs and some top end receivers next year. So
that's true. Yeah, I was thinking tackle or Ibuka. So
yeah.
Fair.
Cool.
Yeah. Sweet.
So any takeaways from last week or maybe going into this week for Marshall from you?
I'm gonna be honest. I'm not a huge Buckeye fan like you are. I don't follow them as diehard.
Yeah, I'm diehard. Yeah.
I'm still a fan. Sure. Still root for them. I think the only thing I can think of would be to establish the run game.
Yeah.
I feel like everything for the Buckeyes kind of stems from that.
Sure.
And so if you're going to be the superior team, you have to be able to establish the run early and often.
With Chip Kelly too, his passes shouldn't be a problem.
Mm-hmm.
But I think like last week we passed a lot, but if it's not broke, don't try to fix it kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, I agree. I think with our running backs too, they deserve to get the ball. And if Judkins didn't have that penalty taken away, the holding penalty, he would have had a 60-yard touchdown. So
yeah.
Cool. Now I think I want to talk some fantasy football. We don't ever talk fantasy football on here either, but I'm running the show, so I want to talk fantasy football.
The parents are away.
Yeah. So David and I have been doing fantasy football together for a long time. I'm in like 9 leagues total. It's insane. We're
in like 3 or 4 leagues together.
Yeah, we're in like a normal dynasty league. We're in a dynasty auction league where you have to like keep a cap. We're in a Devi league, which is a developmental league where you draft college players, and then you own the rights to those players. And then once they go into the NFL, if they do, they go to your team, and then they're on your team. So it's a farm system.
Mm-hmm.
And then we co-manage a C2C league, which is a campus to Canton league. Basically, it's the same thing where you do a dynasty league where you draft dynasty players and NFL players, and then you also do an entire different league with college players, and it's a team of like 64 players.
It's insane.
It's crazy. And any college eligible player, so it can be freshman up to 5th year senior, and you use them as a developmental into your fantasy league, your dynasty league, but also they score their own points. So you pay into 2 different leagues. It's pretty crazy, pretty intricate, but it's a lot of fun.
Real deep, real fast.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So.
Yeah, and we're also in a guillotine league.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So guillotine league, everyone just puts out their best score for the week. You put out your best lineup, and then the worst team out of that league for the week gets cut out, and then you're out of the league for good. And then all of their players go into an auction or waivers, and then you have up to $1,000 or fab to spend for the entire season.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of strategizing for that too. So I'm doing well on that. So.
You are doing well on that one, but I'm coming for you.
Yeah, we'll see.
Haven't been eliminated yet, so.
You have any fantasy questions? Let's talk.
Oh,
a lot of injuries this week.
Okay. Yeah, there have been a lot of injuries in football. So, who have been some of your top waiver wire targets?
I mean, now you got to go after one of the Chiefs running backs. Carson Steele looks like a steal. I picked him up, during preseason for $1 on our waiver, so I'm pretty excited about that. Yep. So I'm going to reap the benefits. If it's not Steele, it could be P. Ryan. They just signed Kareem Hunt as well. Kareem Hunt on a new team, his original team since joining the Browns.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure he'll go on the practice squad, and then eventually we'll see what happens with him. But
I'm sure he'll get some time.
I mean, there were several games last year where Kareem Hunt scored 20 points or more on fantasy, which is insane for a guy who was just signed off the street after week 4 or 5. So there's always optimism with that. So I grabbed all 3 of those running backs and just stashed them on my bench for now.
How long did they say Pacheco's going to be out?
6 to 8 weeks. He fractured his
fib.
Yeah, his leg.
Fib?
It's not good.
Done that. So
yeah. How was that? How's the process? All right, explain your process for healing for that then.
So the way it happened, I was a junior in high school.
Okay.
Middle of baseball season. But my dad and my brother went outside to play catch with a football. I was taking out the trash. When I took it out, I saw them playing, so I was started sprinting in the yard. It's like, "Hey, Dad, throw it to me!" So he throws it to me. It's like above me, but I jump up, catch it, come down to my right foot, lands in a little divot, and it just snaps. And my dad always says it sounded like a shotgun went off.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah. So broke my tib fib. I still have a plate and 6 screws in my right ankle because of that. Had to have 2 surgeries on it.
Wow.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a good time.
So how was the healing process for that then?
Yeah, so they said it would take about 3 to 5 months. I broke it in late April, and I was able to start playing football again back in August. So it was really about 3 months for me.
Wow. So 6 to 8 weeks doesn't sound super realistic for Pacheco to come back then. If the injury is to the extent that you...
So it depends, because since I broke both my tib fib, it was I splinted my tib upward towards my knee. If he just broke one of them, he'll have to have surgery. I'm sure. I think he already did. But I don't think it would be as long of a recovery, because that one is just the one bone, and usually it's the chip of the ankle. That little joint in the ankle that kind of is round. So if he just cracked that, 6 to 8 weeks, I think makes sense. But
cool. Yeah. So pick up Carson Steele, Pacheco, or Hunt. I think Steele's going to take the job. He's already had opportunities to take the ball. He fumbled last week, but he got the ball right after that in a meaningful 3rd down and got the 1st down. So they still have showed some relative, trust in him. So I think that it's his opportunity to loses it. So
True.
What about you? For you, who's your waiver guy this week?
So I know that you're a big fan of tight ends, so I'm gonna say
tight end man, yep.
Tight end guy for you. Mike Gesicki.
Interesting.
For the Bengals. I think with the issues that they're having at wide receiver, with both Jamar Chase and T. Higgins not wanting to play, or just being injured, or just having some sort of disgruntledness there, Mike Gesicki's kind of turned into a target machine for Joe Burrow, and so I think that's only going to continue. He's kind of turned into just like a wide receiver that plays tight end, and so I think he'll be a good target for fantasy to pick up. I just picked him up in our Tanny League actually, and so that's
what Gesicki. Everyone had the thought that Gesicki was going to be that guy anyway when he came out of Penn State, and he never was. He never. I mean, whether it was lack of opportunities or just lack of production, he never was. I am a little nervous with Cincinnati's depth at tight end.
Sure.
I know they have Hudson, they have McLaughlin, they have Drew Sample, they have some guys. I know they really like Hudson a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Gesicki played well this past week. There's no doubt about that. We'll see. We'll see how they do. I'm not confident in the Bengals this year. I think that
I'm not either.
Burrow's been wishy-washy already. Their offensive line is
suspect.
Yeah, and Jamar Chase just last week he was a hothead. He freaked out, had a major personal foul on him when he went.
Oh yeah, he arguing with the ref.
Yeah, and Joe Burrow had to push him back twice.
Mm-hmm.
Like.
So here's
trouble
my question
in paradise,
about that whole situation for you, both with T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. Do they want to be there?
Who wants to be in Cincinnati?
First of all, yes, it's Northern Kentucky, so no, nobody wants to be there. But
I think Jamar wants to be with Joe. The continuity they have at LSU and the chemistry that they've developed. Jamar Chase is a top 5 receiver in this league. When they have that connection.
Mm-hmm.
He also has some major bust potential as well when he gets 2 or 3 targets and 30 yards randomly a game. So
I think nobody looks happy there though. Like T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, even Joe Burrow. Like nobody looks happy.
I think T. Higgins just wants to go somewhere where he's wanted. Who wants to play the game where there's uncertainty in your future? Yeah, you get the money, you get the franchise tag, you get some relatively current or present guarantees, but to me that sounds silly because I don't make that much money. So just one franchise tag for 1 year would set me for life. So whatever.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, like you're still putting your body on the line and you're a product and you have to value your product on the field. And if it's not guaranteed, there's nothing.
Mm-hmm.
The NFL's contracts, if there's no guarantee involved, if you don't have the guaranteed money, you have nothing. And these guys want their money. So, and I get it. They have risks with CTE. They have risks with injuring themselves all the time. Guys fall down all the time. Speaking of CTE, going to the Browns, or not CTE, but the Guardian caps.
Oh,
we saw
JOK.
we saw the first Guardian cap.
I thought you were going straight to Tua with that.
No, well, we can talk about Tua and maybe Denzel Ward as well and concussions and stuff like that. But I think it's really cool that nowadays when you do something like that, you put a pad on your helmet. You can get hazed, you can't get made fun of it.
Mm-hmm.
You're this is football. It's a man's sport. Don't be a pansy kind of thing. And to see JOK of all people be the first one to do it, I think that sets the tone of like, I don't give a crap. Like I'm here to play the game, but I'm also, I value my life. I value my future. I value, I want to be here for my family, friends, relatives,
Mm-hmm.
whatever.
Yeah.
And I think that sets a really good example for kids who are playing the game, who are afraid of getting teased or hazed or whatever. Who gives a crap? It's about safety. I'm sure the fan was talking about how when they started wearing shoulder pads, how goofy you look with shoulder pads, but at the end of the day, like it saves you from injury.
Mm-hmm.
So I think eventually this will become a standard. I think they'll just mandate it, and maybe they'll even try to find a way to make them look better but also work better.
Yeah.
But the fact that JOK was the first one to do it, I think that that proves he's a man. He doesn't care what people think. He wants to just protect himself, but also like to set the example and be the first one. I think hopefully we'll start seeing kids who a lot of parents, don't want to have their kids play the game because they think it's unsafe because of the history of CTE and head injuries. And if there are any ways to prevent that, it'd be silly to throw those away because of hazing or teasing. So get more people in the NFL to wear them. I think it should be. I mean, I think, like I said, eventually it'll be mandated, but for now, I think that good for you, JOK. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, I love JOK.
Yeah, I think that's really cool.
I forget who said this. I think it was somebody on the Colts, though.
Okay.
But they said, "Oh yeah, wearing a seatbelt when it first came out wasn't popular either."
Right. Okay.
Comparing that to wearing the Guardian cap,
right.
and I think that's just such a cool way of transitioning it to like, hey, we're doing this for our own safety.
Right.
Like, guys are flying around on this field, going 100 miles an hour and colliding with each other head first. Like, why would we not want to take care of ourselves?
Agreed. Yeah.
And
yeah, does it look silly? I mean, at first I didn't notice.
Honestly, I was about to say the same thing. I did not even
until they zoomed in on him and it looked like a little off. I didn't notice.
Yeah.
I'm sure it might look different, with glossy compared to matte or whatever. But
I think the thing that helps out the Browns in this case is that their helmet is just so plain and basic, almost
right.
like
not too much on it. Yeah.
If you had a big logo on it, like let's say you're the Steelers and have this massive logo on the side of your helmet,
or the
and
Rams
there's those indents, or even the Texans with the horns, like I think it could look a lot worse with the Guardian cap on.
But who cares?
Yeah,
make it look better. You're a billionaire who owns a franchise. If you're worried about your uniform over safety, then there's a problem. Just make it look better. So
yeah, but I do think ours don't look noticeable.
No.
They look good. I also think it also affected JOK's play too, because JOK was playing like, dude, his hair was on fire.
I mean, he's been playing like that the last 2 weeks. But he's just, I mean, I think he is finally comfortable. He's a man in an element. I think he's had ailments and injuries that has affected him in the past. That he is not only past those, but consciously past those, which is a hard hurdle to do.
And I think wearing the Guardian cap gives him one less thing to think about.
It's like
just
a superpower.
Focus on football.
Yeah.
I love it though.
No, I agree. He's one of those guys that isn't afraid to fill a gap and destroy people, and he's playing confidently. He's fast. I think our linebacker core as a whole has just played way better. Who's the new guy from the Colt? Jordan Hicks. Yeah, I was gonna say Akins. Yeah, Jordan Hicks. He's just been. Yeah, he's been amazing. He's been he's better than Taki. He's better than Walker. He's better than any other guys that we've had on the team recently.
I did love Anthony Walker, though.
I liked Anthony Walker as a leader. He was a good
man.
sticker holder. He caught a good defense, but I don't know, man. Our defense is playing well, and I think he was a great addition. He was a captain over there, and I think that we got a steal.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
So anyway, bring it back to fantasy
football.
Yeah. Some other good waiver wire targets.
Sure.
I think both of those tight end options for the Jags are good. Luke Farrell
out of
Perry, Ohio.
Went
to Ohio State.
Yep.
Good family friend. So
his brother played with Luke Farrell, so he used to talk about it all the time.
Oh yeah,
they both do.
My brother has him on his fantasy team just so he could win the league and get his jersey.
That's fine.
Yeah. And the other tight end who caught like 5 passes, I think, for them on Sunday. I forget his name.
Strong. I think
I don't remember.
One of those guys, but yeah, he's
both of them. I think are good waiver targets. Just
how is Evan Ingram in his health? I know he's injured. Do you know when he's?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think he's on IR.
I don't think so, but I did hear he would miss multiple weeks. But I don't know. How
so
long
obviously
that is,
watch that. But if Ingram's back, he's one of the best in all of the NFL for fantasy. But I think Farrell's a sneaky pick. I've watched him a lot because my buddies talk about him all the freaking time. It's
that's my fault and my brother's fault.
That's all good. So.
Any other good fantasy topics you want to talk about?
Do you want to talk about the Guillotine League a bit?
I love the Guillotine League, so yes.
It's a new league that I have joined this year. It's a new concept. It's really interesting. Like I said before, you cut the lowest ranking scoring team for that week, and then all those players become fantasy or on waivers, and they come. You pick them up.
You said this was your first year doing
First year ever. Yeah.
Okay, so my question for you: what were you expecting it to be like before you got it?
I am an obsessive researcher and studier, so there was nothing I was not expecting that I wasn't already prepared for. I guess the thing I wasn't expecting was for the commissioner to text every single time that waivers were ready and stuff, and how the league. I just want people to figure that out on their own because I've studied so much and I'm ready for this. So don't give people a.
I don't think that's a bad thing for the commissioner to do with a lot of newbies.
Oh, I do. I want their money. So. It's for money, buddy.
I get it.
No, so yeah, I did a lot of studying. There's some great Reddit. I like I said, I'm obsessed with fantasy football, and I put way too much time in it. So
yeah, the Guillotine League's great though. I love it. This is my second year doing a Guillotine League. I'm actually in 2 this year, one with you and one with our other friend TJ.
Nice.
So yeah, that's fun. I think the most important part of the Guillotine League, for those of you that don't play it, is the waiver wires and fob, like learning how to pick up and target people that just got chopped from their teams, learning how to not overspend. I think that's critical to being successful, because if you're going to be one of the last few teams around, you're going to want to save money for some of those prospects.
And that comes from drafting. I mean, not to toot my own horn, but I had the best draft.
Toot.
Yeah. And so I'm confident. I mean, I did have Pacheco, which stinks, but even with the loss of Pacheco, I'm still projected the most in the league for points because I'm so awesome at drafting. But
toot.
Yeah, we'll see. Like last week, it was interesting that one of the last place teams, I mean, he spent, we get $1,000 a season for fab or for money to spend on waivers. And he spent $550 of his $1,000 on Christian McCaffrey, who knew was not going to play and went on IR. And then he got kicked out. So all of his money's for waste. He spent like $300 on Sam Laporta and maybe another $200 on Tank Dell. And so all of his money was gone. I think he had like $100 left or maybe a little less. And he got kicked out last week because he stunk so bad. So that's the double-edged sword of, you need to draft well, but you also need to spend and allocate your money well. For me, my objective, my goal is to not spend any money at all. I have allocated myself every week $130, and I think that would help me save enough to the week 13, I think, is when the free agency stops. So to survive till then and then get all the guys that have been chopped off, because by the end of it, when there's only 2 or 3 teams left, obviously both teams are stacked, and then it's by chance by then. But just to prepare myself to get there, and I think that my draft has done that, and we'll see if I pick up a couple guys here this week. If I do, I'm going to bid low. So
weren't waivers today? I think they were today at 3. I haven't even checked, so I'm curious. You pull that up.
I'll check.
That'll be cool.
Oops. They were today at 3. So we'll see if I got any guys.
There is an app for Guillotine Leagues as well.
Yeah. So these different leagues, you have to, the main apps for, Sleeper, ESPN, Yahoo, these guys don't cover C2C leagues, Debbie leagues, Guillotine leagues. You have to find certain apps and certain people who know about them in forums and get involved to get in these. They're hard to get into. The C2C league I tried for 3 years to get into, and it was really hard to get into, and I finally got into one. So I'm excited about that, but it's just continue. Sorry, the different apps you're saying.
Oh yeah, and I think this app, while it's still, I think, early in its stages, is very helpful and exciting to use. Oh, you're smirking over there. What did you do?
I got Carson Steele for $1.
No. Oh man,
I dropped Isaiah
Did I
Pacheco,
get anybody? I should probably check.
And everyone's gonna freak out about that, but I don't want to. In a Guillotine league, you don't want to waste a spot on a guy who's not going to play.
Yeah, there's no IR spots.
Right. So Nick Chubb shouldn't be on a team right now. Christian McCaffrey shouldn't be on a team right now, but they're going to be, because people have hope that they can try to stash them on their bench and then eventually utilize them when they get to play them. But by that time, as we've seen last week with the guy who got kicked out, it doesn't work that way. So I won't hold on to an injured guy. So if I want Pacheco in the future, I will go get him in the future. So
I'm trying to see if I got anybody.
Yeah, I got Carson Steele and Tutu Atwell both for $1. So I'll spend $1 of my $1,000. Like I said, I allocate 130, and I think that would leave me enough. So anything obviously below that is just chump change. It's just to throw a dart at something. So
man, I did not get anybody that I bid on.
He's gonna lose. His team stinks.
Okay, let's relax. But yeah, some of these guys, Jordan Mason went for $303.
That's crazy. So Jordan Mason is the backup running back for the 49ers, backup to Christian McCaffrey. And he played well the first game. He was a top 5 running back, and everyone thought, when in Shanahan's scheme, even last year and the year before with Elijah Mitchell, it's proven that any running back can run in Shanahan's scheme. So obviously you have the best running back in Christian McCaffrey. It's just
but getting Jordan Mason for $300 for another 3 weeks.
Right. Yeah.
Is it worth it?
As soon as McCaffrey comes back, then that player is irrelevant, and
now
you lose all that fab. So.
And then the next 2 highest people that won bids, Deebo Samuel for $238.
And he's not playing this week.
He's also probably going to go on the IR.
Right.
Christian McCaffrey for $203.
And he's not playing. So.
And then Sam Laporta for $201.
And he's been disappointing so far. I mean, all the tight ends have been. There's been a lot of pressure and expectations on the tight end position so far this year with Dalton Kincaid and Sam Laporta, Kittle and McBride and all these guys. And just throughout the league, you've seen that Andrews, all these top guys are not doing well. Andrews got shown up. He had one catch for like 12 yards the first week, and Isaiah Likely had over 100 yards and a touchdown, almost had 2 touchdowns. So disappointing all around. I would not pay $201 for Sam Laporta right now.
Do you think that is? Let me broaden this question a little bit. So, have you seen the stat about like the last 5 or 6 years in the NFL and all the passing touchdowns within the first 2 weeks?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so there's a stat. I saw it on Twitter. I forget where it was, but essentially it said how this year is like a historically low number of passing touchdowns within the first 2 weeks of the NFL season.
Interesting. Okay.
Like the last few years, it's had an average of like 115 touchdowns
through 2 weeks.
First 2 weeks,
Okay.
yes. And now we're at like 68.
Wow.
Like historically low. Do you
wonder...
think that is because defenses are just getting better and scheming up better, and the NFL is just kind of learning how to stop some of these offenses? Or do you think it's because we've become so pass heavy as a league that everybody's abandoned trying to guard the running game, and they're just getting all these DBs out in the field, and the linebacker position is pretty much not what it used to be?
I don't think they're abandoning the running game. I think there's some top running teams in the league. I think, like I said, the 49ers are one of them. I think the Dolphins have a phenomenal running game with Devin Achane and Mostert behind them. Yeah. So you can't. I mean, that just sounds irresponsible, especially you implement play action and then you run the ball a couple times, and so you have to scheme both running and passing. But I think that. Honestly, it's a hard question. I'm not sure. I think that maybe one less preseason game could have something to do with that because we started that last year. I think that maybe players not playing in the preseason anymore could, and I agree with not playing in the preseason. But just because of injuries, especially with Watson. And I think that Stefanski didn't play him because he knew what he had in him and, didn't want to release that too early. But we'll see. I think that I lost my train of thought. Sorry.
You're good.
I think that can you remind me what we were talking about?
Yeah, so it's just pretty much why do you think we're having a historically low passing touchdown rate?
Injuries have a lot to affect that as well. Like I said, I think that maybe 5 to 10 of the top 20 players in fantasy alone have been injured this year. So quarterbacks are losing, teams are losing their top players for a game for multiple games. That could have an effect to it. You don't have a star player out there catching touchdowns. It's going to be hard to continue that. I think that offensive line play as a whole has a big effect on that as well.
That's what I was going to say, man. Stole my
I just think that offensive line the last few years have just been
it's fallen off a cliff, honestly.
Dude, I mean, it's almost like if you find a left tackle that is
pay him all the money in the
better
world.
Than average, but if you find a stud, obviously he's going to be Trent Williams. You can't name 3 to 5 stud left tackles in the NFL like you can with other positions. And I just think that because there's not any, it's hard to do that. And with defensive end and defensive tackle becoming just stronger and stronger, and new names coming
faster
up
and faster,
every year. New names are coming up, and new guys that are coming up out of nowhere. Max Crosby, for example, who was not drafted high, is just one of the best in the league now. It's getting hard to compete with that. So
no, I agree. That's what I was going to say. Is I feel like offensive lineman dominance is just not what it used to be. No quarterbacks, I feel like, especially this year, have had time to develop those deeper passing plays. Defensive lines are just causing havoc all over the league, I feel like. And it's interesting to see because I feel like us as Brown fans love a good offensive line. Like we grew up with the Joe Thomas of the world.
We grew up with
all
good
those
offensive linemen.
Yes.
I mean, Alex Mack was good. He was a Pro Bowler one time.
Fair. But I'm just saying, we know what a good offensive line is as Browns fans.
I think we just did ourselves a disservice when we let go of Bill Callahan as well, or let him go for nothing. Like I said, I just think that is just a stain on what we are our objective is, I mean, and
do you think Bill Callahan has had a significant impact on the offensive line at Tennessee?
I mean, their offensive line was terrible last year. It has gotten better this year. They got a rookie left tackle. He might be playing right now out of Alabama, Lathan Ransom, who's just, I mean, he's an absolute stud. He's a dog, and he's going to be the future there. He's one of those guys who I think could be one of the top 5 left tackles in the league that we could be talking about in a few years. It's early. He's a rookie. We'll see. But with that head coach, I'm sorry, with that offensive line coach, his head coach is his son. I think that, the sky's the limit, and that running game right now in Tennessee is looking great. Tony Pollard is looking freaking dynamic. Tony Pollard, a guy who everyone wrote off, the next Austin Eckler, is looking like he's got a revitalized career right now. And Tajay Spears is struggling a little bit, but he's still really good, and he's a second-year player. So I think the proof's in the pudding there. I think that, I'm not saying that Andy Dickerson is the worst offensive line coach or anything. I'm not saying he's bad, but we gave up the best for nothing, and it's showing right now. So
fair. I would agree. I would also counter argue though with the point that just because the Titans offensive line is looking improved and better, they're still 0-2 and they still have issues.
Yeah, but we're 1 or 2 plays away from being 0-2. It's any given Sunday, so we'll see. I mean, their quarterback over there. I mean, they have their head coach openly saying, "Oh yeah, Will Levis, he did something. He was dumb for that. He called him dumb in an interview." And I think that sort of blatant honesty could be good for some guys, but I feel like I wouldn't take that well. It's a second-year rookie or a second-year player with a rookie head coach. I don't think that I would necessarily take that well. So I think that. Yeah, there's also trouble in paradise, but in terms of the offensive line, they played well. So
yeah. All right, one last thing I want to ask you.
Sure.
Woj today.
Woj, yeah.
Retiring.
Wow. His last Woj bomb.
Last Woj bomb was for the Cavs, yeah, right?
Well, his last Woj bomb was retiring, but yeah.
True.
Isaac Okoro
what was your favorite Woj bomb from his career?
I should have thought of this. I don't know. I mean, anytime he tweeted, it was going to be a bomb. So let me hear yours first. Give me, if you have one, give me one of yours. Then I'll think about it.
I feel like
he's asked the question, doesn't even know the answer. All right. I mean, I don't know, man. I just think he was one of one when it comes to the NBA and news. I mean, I guess Shams Charania is the next guy up. We'll see. But in terms of just NBA, there's no one better for breaking news. The connections he had was insane. I don't understand how these guys get these connections. Him, Schefter, Rappaport, even some local guys like, Brad Stainbrook, who's freaking awesome and does a great job. Like, he's got some connections. So I want to get some connections.
All right, work on that.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I think that's a podcast, guys. I think it's crazy. We almost went an hour. I'm relatively think I did an okay job with some stumbling here and there. I was a little nervous, but for my first time hosting and for Dave's first podcast ever, I think we did a good job.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man.
You guys did great.
Thanks, Peter. I appreciate you, man. Once again, I just want to remind you guys about Greeny Sports Cards. This Saturday, the 21st, like I said, they'll be at the Kirtland Senior Center. You can check out all their information on greenysportscards.com. Just like I said, click the show tab at the top, greenysportscards.com. Also, real quick, I wanted to announce the Voice of the Land podcast. Like we said, we announced last week that we partnered with Greeny Sports Cards. But today we actually just unveiled that we are doing our first of many giveaways with Greeny Sports Cards. We are giving away...
What are we giving away?
We are giving away 6 Myles Garrett, all different cards, and all as one bundle. And all you have to do to enter is to go on our Twitter. You can go to our post, like, retweet, and comment something, or just tag a friend. Make sure you follow Greeny Sports Cards as well to be entered. And then we will choose, I think it's the 26th of October, the weekend after the 16th, so whatever that Wednesday is. We'll choose a winner. And also, if you want to do an additional entry, you can go on our YouTube and Greeny's YouTube as well and subscribe and drop a comment saying like, "Oh, Myles Garrett, Defensive Player of the Year," something like that. And just post proof on Twitter. and that will be entered. Same thing with our Instagram as well, and you can find those info all on that tweet. So
I can enter multiple times to win this.
I don't think you're going to be allowed to be entered now that you've been on the podcast as a host. But
come on,
no, I think that's conflict of interest. I want to make this fair, but nonetheless, these prizes are really, really awesome. We're really excited about this. We're so grateful for Greenies to be able to provide these, and I hope that in turn we can provide him with more of an audience, because he's really doing some great things over on his YouTube page and over on his Twitter. I know that 2 weeks ago he interviewed the guy from Scream 2 who did a Ghostface, which is really awesome, and I think he did a Secret Service or an FBI agent this week, which I have to check out still, but I was really excited to check that out. So go check out Greenies. And like I said, we have many more contests coming and some really, really cool prizes. This is just the beginning. We have better stuff and some really cool stuff coming. And like, we just want to thank Greenies for that. For Kevin Arnold, who is with ESPN 850 tonight, for Always Positive Jay, who is hopefully kissing his wife in Aruba right now.
Congrats, by the way, Jay.
Yeah, really happy for you, brother. For Peter Telp over on the producing table in LPV Productions. I'm Ryan Monster. This is David Kahoun. And usually we do a sign off. So Kevin will say, don't let anyone tell you it's just a game. Jay will say, don't think about it, be about it. Then I'll say, tip your waiter. And then what are you going to say, Dave?
Go Browns.
Go Browns. Thanks for watching, and I appreciate it, guys. Let's see you next week.